Today I'm going to be explaining how your muscular imbalances are holding you back from progressing as well as having a smooth and easy partnership with your horse. I'm going to do this by telling a story of my client and how we got her from the problems she was having to the goals and desires that she came in with. She came into my office and she was wanting to improve her performance, to be able to score higher in competitions, to increase her progression of her skill set as well as the horse's skill set. She is a high-level trainer. She wanted to improve the relationship with her horse and then the health and longevity of herself and her horse. She noticed as she continued to have more and more issues, her horses were having more issues as well. So she wanted to make sure she could have a healthy and long career for her and her horse. The problems she came into me with were tightness. She was having tightness in her back, her neck, her hips, and her hamstring. And this tightness over a long period of time would cause her to have pain. She would have pain in her knees and hips after riding for a while or after doing things around the barn. Due to this tightness and pain, her body started decreasing its ability to be symmetrical, or at least for her, it was not comfortable to be symmetrical. So when she would be riding on a horse, she would notice that she was sitting off to one side, doing things just around the house. Things seemed not to work as well on one side as the other. And that led to compensation or compensatory patterns in her body, not being able to do something as well on one side as the other side. And that over time is going to decrease the health of her joints and her muscular system and cause her more tightness and pain. And it's this negative cycle that she continued to run through. So we wanted to take her problems and help her reach her goals and desires because we realized that she was wasting a lot of time having these problems and guessing, trying to figure out what's going on herself, and taking the approach that if you're wanting to invest your money, you can read some articles online and hope that you're picking either the right stocks, bonds, whatever it is you're investing your money into, as opposed to hiring someone that understands finances, the economy, and get a better return on your time and money. So she was doing the guesswork. She was trying to figure out what her issues were and trying to do things on her own. She was wasting time treating her symptoms. So she was having this tightness and pain, and she was like, man, this is a problem. But in reality, these things she was feeling potentially and ended up being symptoms of a bigger problem. It would be similar to you having an issue in your car and that check engine light comes on, and you look at that check engine light, you know something is wrong with the car, but that check engine light isn't the problem. Because if the check engine light was a problem, you could just cover it up and continue driving. I wouldn't recommend that, but that would be the approach here. You wouldn't want to do that. You would want to take your car in and figure out what's going on inside that's causing that light to go on. So that's what she was doing. She was looking at these things as the problem when really there was a problem somewhere else in her body, and these were just the symptoms. Another way she was wasting her time, she was taking generalized action. So she would find something on the internet that said tightness in these areas, pain in these areas, I'm compensating, and hope that someone with similar issues had the right information and that she could take action based on someone else's experience, which a lot of the time gets tough because you would like things tailored to your specific issues and someone that understands exactly what's going on with you. The last way she was wasting time was she wasn't able to progress as fast as she wanted to. Because of all these issues, she was hitting kind of a plateau because she needed to be able to communicate things to her horse, and she was struggling doing that because of her tightness, pain, lack of symmetry, and compensation. So we said, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get you from your problems to your goals and desires? We realized that she needed to increase her mobility and flexibility, which in turn would help her suppleness on her horse as she's riding, being able to communicate what she's wanting the horse to do and give her horse better aids, and then being able to be strong and balanced on her horse. So we have the problems, we know how to get her here, but she knew that's what she needed to accomplish, but not necessarily how to do that. So that's where I came into play. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you some ways you can start to do this on your own. I'm not there to assess you, but I know things that you could be doing that would help anybody in a certain area, well, not anybody, most people in a certain area of their body. So pay close attention. What you're going to do is figure out how to create a bridge to get you where you want. It's a bridge. Now, I'm impressed with my bridge drawing skills, but this bridge has a name, and this bridge's name is muscular contraction. Muscular contraction, muscular contraction, muscular contraction. That is going to be how we get from your problems to your goals and desires. It is that simple of an idea. This is the thing that we have to improve. Now, there's a lot more to that. How is this thing going to help us get over here? In order to do any sort of movement, to whether you're sitting on your horse, getting up out of bed, whatever it is, your brain has to be able to send a signal to your muscles that say contract. The contraction of your muscles, in turn, is what allows us to move. So every time you want to do something, your brain's got to send this signal over to the muscles to contract and say, hey, contract all these muscles to produce a certain movement. Now, the problem is, if you've ever had any kind of stress, trauma, or overuse of muscles, so let's start with stress. That can be a physical stress. Riding could be something that you do over and over that's asking a lot out of the body. So if you played a sport in high school or you're very active, that can put stress on your body physically. You can have emotional stress. If you're very stressed out in your life and you are struggling, that can have an effect on your muscular system. Another stress is chemical, what you're eating, what you're putting into your body. So any kind of stress, any kind of trauma would be like an accident or an injury you've had, or overuse of a muscle. Overuse is something that you're doing over and over and over again repetitively, so you have muscles that are being used a lot more than others. Any three of those things can cause inflammation and an interference in this brain to muscle communication. So any one of those three things can cause an interference of your brain being able to send the signal to your muscles to contract, to move. So that causes a problem in the brain to muscle contraction equation. And what can happen is when you have that interference there, your body is going to potentially tighten up because it recognizes, hey, I can't do something, I can't contract or move in a way that I want to, therefore I'm not stable in these positions. I cannot protect my joints and muscular systems efficiently. So your body's going to tighten up to protect you. You could imagine walking onto ice. So there's a big ice rink and you're just walking along. The first step you take on that ice, your body is going to tighten up because it just realized we lost all our stability. It no longer feels comfortable, like it's in control. You're going to just kind of scoot along that ice because you have no stability because your body's trying to protect you. Tightness in your body can be the same exact thing. Our brain's not getting a good connection to our muscles, and our body's tightening up to protect us. Because it is tightening up to protect us, we start compensating. The things that tighten up don't work so well, so we're going to use whatever we need to get from point A to point B. Compensations aren't bad in the short term, but over a long period of time of compensating, you can cause overload to muscles, overload to joints. Things aren't working the way they need to, and that's going to lead us to a lack of symmetry and pain. So we know that we've got to cross this bridge and that we potentially have this lack of brain to muscular contraction issue, which is not allowing us to move. So what we need to do is be able to figure out a way how to decrease this interference and open up this line of communication to all our muscles, all the type of movements we can do, so that way we can decrease the tightness in our body, which is going to decrease the compensation, and hopefully over time decrease the pain and increase our symmetry. So it's that simple when I say muscular contraction. We've got to be able to teach our body how to do these things again, how to move through ranges of motion and contract when we want it to, so that we don't have these problems, so that we can increase our performance, our progression, relationship with the horse, and the health and longevity. Now, after about, I don't know, coming close to about a year she's worked with me, she is leaps and bounds farther and in a better place. She is progressing a lot faster. Her performance, she said she looks at pictures of herself when she's riding, and it's way different. She's not sitting on the side of her horse. She feels more in control. She feels a lot more confident in her longevity in the sport because she's riding 10 to 15 horses a day, which is pretty insane. But over time, when you're riding on your horses as well, and you have compensations, you can create those compensations in your horses and give them the same issues that you're having. So I am going to show you today a few exercises that you're going to be able to do that's going to help to start opening up this connection specifically in your hips, because when you're riding, your hips are very important to the posture you're trying to choose when you sit on that horse, and giving it the communication and the clear, well, trying to give it clear aids to get it to do what you want it to do. So I'm going to be showing you those.
For our hip isometrics, the goal is going to be to improve our mobility and flexibility, to improve the communication from our brain to our muscles, being able to tell them to contract so that we can decrease the tightness in our muscles. The equipment that you're going to use for this is anything weighted roughly 2 or more pounds. This can be a dumbbell, an ankle weight, or a household item. You don't want to make it too heavy, as you'll notice that it may cause some pain through the exercises, which you will see in a minute. You're going to assess your hip mobility and tightness. So I just want you to kind of move around right now and start to feel how your hips feel, if there's any tightness through any of these movements, so you can get a general sense of how they're feeling going into this. Each of these exercises is going to be executed in a 6-second muscular contraction. You're going to keep your legs straight during each of these positions, and you're going to be gently pushing into a weight with about 10% of your full effort. Each of these exercises is going to be done 6 times for a 6-second rep of contracting your muscle lightly. If that doesn't make too much sense right now, I understand, but it all will in just a second. Here we go. You're going to want to find something that is weighted. It could be an ankle weight, a regular weight, anything basically that weighs more than 2 pounds without crushing your ankle. You're going to set it on top of your ankle, and you're going to lay down on your back. You're going to rotate your hip in, and you're going to gently push up and into the weight. You want to think about giving about 10% of your full effort, just nice and easy. The lighter the better. Keeping your knees straight, you're gently pushing up from your hip. You're going to rotate the ankle out, and we're going to repeat. You want to gently be pushing up into that weight extremely lightly. You're going to do this 6 seconds, 6 times with about 10% effort. We're just looking to lightly contract the muscles in our hip flexors at this point. From there, you're going to come up onto your forearms. You're going to straighten your back. You're going to rotate that hip in, and you're going to repeat another 6 times for 6 seconds with very minimal effort here. You're not looking to overdo anything. We're just looking to create that connection into the hip flexors with your hip rotated in, and then we're going to repeat here again with the hip out. You really want to keep that back nice and straight. You don't want to be rounded as you're gently pushing up and into that weight. Trying to keep the knees straight. From there, you're going to take the weight off, and you're going to put it over to the side, so that way you can lay on your back, and you're going to put your leg, you're going to abduct it, move it out to the side about 30 degrees, and put the weight back on. From there, you're going to rotate the hip in. It's going to be hard to see because I can't rotate that far in. And then again, gently push up, the same thing. So again, that was moving the leg slightly out, rotating the hip in, what you can control, and again, keeping the knees straight and gently pushing up. And then you're going to repeat again, rotating that hip out. So with the hip rotated out and also moved out to the side, you're gently pushing up into that weight 6 seconds, 6 times. Again, very light effort. This should be coming from your hip, not your knee, anything else. From there, you are going to do the same thing on your forearms again. So you're slightly elevated, laying on your forearms. You rotated that hip in again, pushing up. And then repeating the pattern, again, rotating the hip out and gently pushing up into that weight 6 seconds, 6 times. From there, you're going to move the hip out to the side of your body. You're going to lay on your back and you're going to move your leg out about 30 degrees again. You're going to keep that hip rotated in, and this time you're going to gently be pushing out into that weight, so away from you. You're going to feel this on the side of your butt. You're going to be squeezing the side of your cheeks to gently push into that weight, keeping your hip rotated in, and then we are going to, guess what? Rotate the hip out, move it out to the side, relax first, and then we're going to repeat. I'm gently pushing out into that weight. Again, I'm squeezing the side of my hip to nice and easily be pushing into that weight for 6 seconds. You don't want to be compensating or trying to do too much here. You're just gently squeezing the side of your hip to push into that weight. From here, we are going to flip over onto our stomach and scratch our eye first. And you're going to lift one leg up. From here, you're going to think about squeezing your butt cheek to gently push up towards the ceiling. Now, you want to feel like you're going to be trying to pull your knee up off the table, but that's not going to really happen because, again, we want very minimal effort here. So basically, you're just really engaging your glutes to try to imagine you're pulling your knee off the table, but that's not going to really happen here. Again, this is going to be 6 seconds, 6 times, and then you're going to repeat all of this on the other side.
Thank you for watching. What I would like you to do now is either send me a message or leave a comment down below what you thought was most valuable to you in this video. You can do these exercises at any point in the day, whether you want to do it first thing in the morning before you get on your horse or before you're about to exercise. They will work for any of those and help you feel better and perform better throughout your day so that you can perform at a higher level for a longer period of time. Bye.